here's a bit of a cringe fest for you. Somebody sent me this. And we a few days ago we did a segment where I was responding to some of the TikTok social media influencers who were angry at me for my take on the Austin Metcalf murder. And I guess we missed this guy. He's a Christian influencer responding to my tweet about the Austin Metcalf killing, where I talk about how young black males are disproportionately violent. And this guy who goes by the handle Nerdy Christian and is a bit of a following, but he didn't like that very much. And here's what he has to say. Listen.
All right, guys. Sometime tomorrow, I want to talk about why this is really problematic and racist. But first, I want to get ahead of that just with exposing a misconception that I think a lot of us have about racism and what it is. So guys, racism is not by necessity limited to white supremacy, like literally thinking consciously that white people are, or black people or any other race are supreme over others or superior to others. And it's also not limited to intentional, objective discrimination. In fact, most racism that is experienced and acts of racism that are committed in our society, I would say, are not conscious. They're not intentional even. Most racism is subconscious. It's things like the fact that African-American sounding names are less likely to get a response on a resume, a job application, than white sounding names. That's racism. But that's not that someone intentionally said, I want to discriminate against black applicants today. That's just the way our subconscious internal biases work due to social conditioning. And that's what people mean when they talk about systemic racism and things like that. Is the majority of racism that we experience in our society, that we even propagate in our society, is not intentional. It's not so dark and nefarious. And that's why it's so important to recognize that any of us at any time, by adopting biases like Matt Walsh's, can potentially further racism. Guys, be self-aware enough to address your own implicit biases inside yourself and attempt to counter them. And intentional countering of the subconscious biases that you recognize within yourself is the only way for us to combat racism in our own lives.
I just cannot imagine at this point in time using the term problematic unironically as he does here. Yeah, sorry guys, that's a bit problematic. That's problematic language. I've already tuned you out the moment you do that. You've advertised yourself at the outset as a kind of limp-wristed, pretentious wimp, and I can't take you seriously. Being a husband, a father, and host of my own show means life never slows down. Imagine trying to eat 31 different fruits and vegetables every day. Sounds miserable and time-consuming. Frankly, I just don't want to do all that. But with Balance of Nature fruits and veggies, there's never been a more convenient dietary supplement to ensure you get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables every day with 31 different whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Balance of Nature takes fruits and vegetables, they freeze-dry them, turn them into a powder, and then put them into a capsule. You take your fruit and veggie capsules every day, and then your body knows what to do with them. Go to balanceofnature.com and use promo code Walsh for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. Plus, get a free bottle of fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com, promo code Walsh. And also, notice what he doesn't do. As we saw with, the other influencers who were angry, as we always see in these situations, he doesn't dispute my point. My point about the data, about the demographics and the data, who's committing the majority of violent crime and so on. That was my point. He doesn't dispute it. He doesn't present any kind of counter argument. He doesn't say, well, Matt is wrong about this point, and here's the data to back me up. He doesn't do that. None of them ever do. All the people who get offended and they start blubbering about how it's problematic, they never, ever, ever even attempt to dispute the actual point because they can't. So, that's all that really needs to be said. You don't offer a rebuttal. So there's no argument to refute here. You didn't present one. But I will say, just for the record, that, and this is why this kind of thing from someone like that annoys me in particular, when you've got Christian, in your handle and you're identifying yourself as a Christian. I will say that you really do immeasurable harm to the faith when you pretend that the faith you pretend to hold, when you go around representing Christianity this way, when you represent Christianity as a religion that makes you weak and scared and pathetic, a religion that forbids us from speaking uncomfortable truths that, again, he does not actually dispute. He just doesn't want you to talk about it. When you present Christianity that way, you make it seem totally unappealing and useless and pointless. I mean, why would anyone want to be a part of a religion like that? Why would anyone want to be Christian if it requires them to be scared, equivocating little weaklings? They don't. They won't, which is why churches that appeal to this guy, churches that are like right down the center plate for this guy and what he wants, they're all dying. They're decaying and they're dying because of this. Because in reality, that's not Christianity. Not only are we not prohibited from speaking uncomfortable truths as Christians, we're actually required to. We are called to. Uncomfortable truth could be the subtitle of every gospel account. Jesus was the ultimate preacher of uncomfortable truths. So every part of this is just false and wrong, pathetic and false and wrong and bad and harmful. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.